Okay, today we're going to be testing out stoves. This is the first stove I bought when I started backpacking. It's a Desert and Fox, which is kind of a no-name. It's from Amazon. It cost $13 and it was super cheap is why I bought it, and it's super little. It came with a little bag to put it in. Everything fits down into the totes with the fuel and the lighter, so everything nests good, so it's a really good starter. And it's actually worked really good. I bought it in 2019 and I'm still using it. I used it on my last trip. I did have my new stove then, but I wanted to do this test before I actually started implementing the new stove. So anyhow, this is the first one I bought. This is the second one. This is one probably people recognize. This is an MSR pocket rocket. I bought it at REI. And really the only reason I bought it was because I had a gift card that I wanted to use. Let's see, oh, I see it. This one is a little different. It swivels to open it up. And as you can see, it's much bigger. The size difference is quite amazing. It comes in a weird little box, which I am not going to use. Angela uses this, and she says it nests also inside the totes, so that's what I'll do because I want to shave as much weight as possible, and I'll be adding weight to this. So we're going to do a side-by-side comparison of this and see which one works. This one doesn't advertise how fast it averages on boiling water, but MSR says this one will average 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes 30 seconds. So we're going to put it to the test and see if that works. It obviously has more jets coming out, and the jets are bigger. So what I'm thinking is this one might be better in wind. When I did the state line shelter on, I think it was section 2 with my crew, everybody else had bigger stoves and they were able to boil way faster than me. It was really windy. We were inside a shelter, but the wind was really playing havoc with this one, and that's when I started wondering if maybe I needed a new stove. So let's get some weights and then let's do some testing and see what happens. Okay, I am going to weigh these without the bags, just the stoves themselves. And this is the Desert and Fox, and it is 49 grams, 1.7 ounces. This is the MSR Pocket Rocket 2, 74 grams, 2.6 ounces. So that's quite a bit. I can't really do the math in my head, so let's figure this out real quick. Okay, so the difference in weight on these is 25 grams or 0.9 ounces in favor of the Desert and Fox. So the price difference is the Pocket Rocket cost me from REI was $35.89 and the Desert and Fox was $12.99. So that's this one is like almost like what, a third the price. It's cheaper and it takes up less space. And actually, whenever I store it, I actually store it in a little velvety bag. I put it in here, and then that keeps it from scratching my toques or whatnot, or damaging anything. The bag. Let's see what the bag weighs, just for giggles. Probably not much. I can't imagine it being that much. 0.1 ounces, 3 grams. So I think I'm not such a gram weenie that matters to me. I like having the little bag. So now let's go ahead and I got a brand new can of fuel, and we're going to test this with 1 cup of water, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so basically when you do this, this is nested like this. What you do is you just pull the valve out, and then I usually just flip it upside down and they all kind of go where they need to go. And then it just threads on. Super simple. Except for I have it on. Make sure you turn that valve off before you do that. Okay, now we're ready. Okay, I'm going to put 8 ounces of water here to boil. All right, there's our 8 ounces, and we'll get this thing started. Okay, so I poured 8 ounces of water in here using a scale. We're going to use a thermometer, and it's 212 is what you said?
Yeah, Fahrenheit.
So boiling is 212 Fahrenheit, so we're going to go to that point. The only thing I can't really measure is how far this opens up, so I'm just going to put it to where I would normally do it, which is the only X factor in this thing. But anyhow, so I am going to pour my water, 8 ounces of water, into this, and then you want to stick that in there?
Yeah, I might take a second to...
We're going to let this acclimate for a second. It says it's like at 68 or something. Does that seem right?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's moving, does it?
Mm-mm.
It's probably room temperature, that's about right.
Okay, so we're going to go to 212, which you'll have to eyeball it. I'm going to let Angela eyeball it because she'll turn the starter on and off. I'm going to get this going. Are you ready? You need stopwatch? Go. And this is pretty much ideal conditions since there's 0 wind in the house. That's about 200. And that's pretty much a legitimate boil. We're going to go to 212, that way we do the same on both. We're getting close to 210.
Well, it's kind of stuck there, isn't it?
I'm going to say that's a boil, though.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so about 2 minutes and 47 seconds. Okay, so I have the MSR hooked up, and I've got 8 ounces of water poured. So I'm going to pour my water into my toques. Yep, I'm going to put the thermometer in there. I'm going to light it up. This is the first time I've used this one. And it seems to be quieter.
Temperature's coming up. Let's give it a second.
I mean, it's going to go up just as fast.
I know.
Ready? And we're off. Not quite. That's pretty much it. About 2 minutes, 10 seconds. Okay, I had to change a little something on the parameters because of how everything went down. I went ahead and showed the video in its entirety, trying to get to 212, but obviously, as you saw, we never really got to 212. I don't know if it's a thermometer, I don't know what's going on, but since we're not using a digital thermometer, I think that maybe that might be the issue. But it was obvious that it was a rolling boil on both videos well before 200. So what I'm going to do is I eyeballed it to 200 and called that good enough on both videos. That way I have an accurate portrayal of how fast it got to 200. 200 was a boil. On the trail, that boil would have been great for rehydrating our food. So in the scientific realm of this, 200 is 200, and we want to clock how fast each one got there. So the Desert and Fox Amazon one did it in 2 minutes and 18 seconds-ish, and the MSR did it 200 degrees in 1 minute 58 seconds, and that is a savings of 20 seconds, which, okay, it's faster. You know, it's a third of a minute faster basically when you put it that way. The Desert and Fox is also 25 grams lighter, which is almost an ounce. It's 0.9 ounces, and it's much more compact. It's smaller. The Desert and Fox costs almost a third of the price of the MSR. The X factor being the wind. You know, I didn't test this in the wind. I think with a little bit of wind, the MSR is probably going to come out on top way better and faster. So this all just boils down to, you know, if you're trying to be super ultralight, if you need to figure out a way to cut some weight off your pack, maybe on a through hike, like when I go on the OHT, I'm probably going to take my Desert and Fox. Every other one where an extra ounce doesn't matter, I'm probably just going to start using the MSR because it is bigger. It's more stable with the bigger tongs or whatever you want to call them that holds the cup up. You know, I very seldom boil more than a cup at a time. Actually, it's way less than a cup typically. I don't use as much water as most meals require. I like my meals to be just a little bit thicker and less watery. It all boils down to It all boils down to what your criteria is for the trail. I think for a beginner backpacker starting out, I think the Desert and Fox or anything remotely similar to that is the way to go. I'm still super happy with it. The only issue I have is in wind, but I've always overcame it. I've never not been able to boil with it. Sometimes you have to put big rocks in front of it, but I think the MSR will be the same way. In really windy conditions, you're going to want to make some kind of windbreak. So it all comes down to, again, what your criteria is. If you're going to do high mileage and you're taking the lightest weight stuff possible, I would definitely go with the Desert and Fox. If you're in a position where you're not doing many miles or you're not worried about the weight factor, then the MSR is probably going to be the way to go. You know, after a year of using the MSR, I'll know more. Right now, I actually haven't used it other than for these tests, so I don't know how it reacts to wind. So anyhow, I hope this study or test did you some good. That's pretty much all I got for you, and if you have any questions, leave them. I'll try to answer whatever I can. And yeah, that's about it.